Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Origin Story, where we dive into the story of how your favorite YouTubers built their channels. I'm Mike.
And I'm JP. And tonight we're joined by Carlos Lastra.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. So, Carlos Lastra just wants to make an impact on the skateboarding community with his positive attitude. Carlos is a professional skater, musician, and all-around awesome dude currently living in Arizona. His channel is home to 68,000 subscribers and 36 videos. Tune in to see some amazing skateboarding content and see where Carlos will go next. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Man, no worries.
Tonight, Carlos.
no worries, man. Thanks guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Unfortunately, I can't talk tonight, but
actually, it's been a while since I've done one of these.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the fun is like, there's so many amazing stories that you have, and I can't wait to hear all of them. So like, I really look forward to just having a really fun, casual conversation.
Yeah, just let's freestyle it out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, we kind of want to talk about, getting started, and no better place to get started than growing up in Arizona. Would love to hear a little bit about, growing up in Arizona.
Like as a kid or just as the skateboarding in general?
Yeah, as a kid, and then we'll go into things from there.
As a kid, I was just kind of a smart aleck, man. Like I'd be that little kid who always had something to say to like older people, just because like I was already thinking. I think my mom told me I was already talking fully when I was like 1 year old. I started drawing and playing music when I was about 3, and from there got into video games because it was hot outside. But I was always like adventurous as a kid, like I was always out and about, climbing trees, jumping walls, and just getting into like a little bit of mischief, but not like getting into trouble, just having fun,
Yeah,
but,
being a little boy. Talking
a lot of time outside.
Yeah, talking
a lot of time outside. Let's put it this way, man. Like even in the summer, dude, I got so dark, man. So it was like one of those things where I like to be outside and adventurous. And then a lot of it came to a halt when I was about, I think 5, because I had developed asthma. So that's one thing I never really talked about. I was actually developing that, and it got worse as I got older. And I don't know, something about like the doctors telling me I'm not going to be able to play sports or even remotely go outside at all. Like I just kind of like, being stubborn little kid, didn't listen. And I was just, when I was like 7 or 8, stopped taking my inhaler to school and just kind of thinking, oh, I could beat this. And, I got really lucky because when I was, I think, 9 years old, we went to the doctors and they went to go test my lungs out, and they just developed.
Wow.
So immediately as I got that okay, I started playing soccer. But I was already like off and on doing it, running little by little. And yeah, for some reason, like my lungs just developed and I was able to beat it. And soccer was like helped maintain it, from all the running.
Yeah.
So now I don't have no problem breathing at all. It's just kind of, I remember though, like as a kid having those little panic attacks back then, but
5 to 9, that's like prime years for like t-ball and all those little sports. So what did you do during those times?
I would play soccer, but I would just kick the ball around without so much running,
Yeah.
Like just kind of, I guess you could say, to get some coordination down.
Yeah.
And by the time I got a little bit older, I was able to run. So I joined a little league, and I was actually pretty good at it. I think I was in 4th grade and I was a 6th grade team captain, because I couldn't run really fast, but I can control the ball to get it into the goal, So
yeah, skill player.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess when you're not wanting to run, you're working. Well, when you can't run, like you said, you're working on foot control. So then, you become a skill player, and
yeah,
then
it was just all ball movement.
You only get better.
Yeah, it was all ball movement, and then so I did that for a couple of years, and I enjoyed it because where I lived at the time, it was in North Phoenix, and everybody at that area played soccer,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm like necessarily a follower, but when you're a kid and you want to just do things to make friends.
Yeah.
So like that was the thing to do. Just when you're done, your friends come over, you guys play video games. Your mom might make them a burrito or two, That's kind of like a lot of that. We were like very as kids, like very family oriented. We used to go for like a lot of rides and stuff, like go to see sights and mountains and, go to the snow. And that's kind of how my dad was growing up. He always wanted to go on like a long drive,
Yeah.
But I guess you could say we're
adventure.
just pretty much adventurous, yeah, back then.
Which is interesting because there's so many so many like stories of parents going on drives with their kids, and it's like crazy. But at the same time, I'm sure he's looking for like enjoying the outdoors with the people he loves the most, and
Yeah, yeah.
getting that time isolation.
Yeah, there'd be times where we just go to the park for no reason. And
Yeah.
this is like before skateboarding, this is before like, because when I started skating, that's when I really just started not introverting myself, but I had so much to think about to practice. So I just kind of like, they would go do family stuff and I would just more focused on practicing skateboarding.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm a 10-year-old kid. So I always laughed at like, dang, they really trust me that much to like, because I'm just going to go to the skate park, I'm not going to do anything wrong. And
yeah,
I'm definitely not, wasn't a bad kid at all. It was just one of those things like, how I got in. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you how I got into skateboarding.
Let's put a pin in that one because I got one more question before we talk about skating. And
okay.
So one other thing that you did inherit from your father, which is a passion and love for music, even being in a mariachi band with him, right?
Not with him. That was when I was in middle school. I just did it for extra credit, which is funny because I don't even speak a word of Spanish. But I was, my dad had taught me principle of music, not so much instruments. Like he taught me how to use my ear, and I was, like I said, I was only 3 years old, so he would just play something in front of me, and then I would kind of just mimic what I saw his hands doing. And basically I was just a very observant kid. If I saw something I was interested in, like 9 times out of 10 I was able to get that done. Once my lungs developed too, that's another thing, was a trumpet. Okay. I started playing trumpet immediately after, so that definitely like put the muscle back into like breathing. And even to this day, like I still play, just not as often, but I play piano and guitar more these days.
And so where did your dad, because you're probably emulating and doing things to be with your father, to play the music and enjoying those times together, but where did his passion for music that then pulled you in? Where'd that come
I guess he's played since, God rest his soul. He played from 9 years old to all the way up until he passed away. So about whatever, 63. So that's what, so I can't do the math right now. It's
50 plus years.
Yeah. Wow. So anything he like taught me, I knew that I like to listen to experienced people. So I knew from him, anything that he said to me, I was going to be able to take in and like make it my own, because he gave me the freedom to do so as well. It wasn't like discipline like that. He said, here, just, take this note and just make something up out of it. And I would record it on the old school boom boxes, the tape, and you have to push play and record down at the same time. And I just, record stuff and show him, and he's like, yeah, okay. So as I got older, that's one thing he kept wanting me to do. But, I guess skateboarding took control over that. But the funniest thing is I still play music. I just chose one to be really, really, really passionate about, to have memories, That's what music is for me. Like if I ever get ahead of myself, just pick up a guitar, play something when you were like 6 or 7, you're like, oh yeah, you're still a normal dude.
Yeah. Pretty musical household then, growing up.
Yeah, I mean, my brother plays drums. I learned the most, I guess, because my father would just teach me how to use my ear and just, I think that's why I wanted to learn music, because he was one of those guys like, don't touch my instrument, like if you don't know what you're doing, don't touch it. And I'm like,
stay away from it. Yeah, don't mess it up.
Which is a funny follow-up story is how I learned a guitar. I took a guitar class, and I was I'm originally left-handed. So I took a guitar class, and they only had right-handed guitars. So the guy had he just duct taped my thumb to the fretboard, and I just started getting the exercises down. Didn't tell my dad anything though.
That's hilarious. Instead of just having you play left-handed?
Yeah. He basically had me train my mind to being a right-handed player, and it took about a month's time doing it every day until my hands, like the muscle memory started kicking in, and I was able to like strum. And then from there I learned how to play chords, and I did that for 3 months, did not tell my dad anything. So one day he's tuning up his guitar, and I'm just like, Dad, let me see the guitar. And no, at this point he's still in the strict mode. I was like, no, I don't want nobody touching my guitar. He's like, just give it to me. Got a little debate, and then he finally handed it to me. He's like, all right, well, just don't touch the dial thing. So I'm like, Dad, just watch, okay? And I played him Stairway to Heaven.
No way.
Nice.
And the look on his face, so he was just like, when did you learn guitar? And this is kind of like surprise,
That's awesome.
From that experience, you were originally left-handed. Now do you find that you use your right hand to do some kind of skills as well, or is it strictly like just to play the guitar? Because I find that fascinating when people are left-handed and can then play golf righty or something.
Yeah, well, the truth of the matter is, when you're born left-handed, it's really a right-handed world, like statistically.
I'm left-handed, so I live with you there.
So there's certain things you have to do to adapt to it. So I wouldn't say it's like too hard. It's more of like acquired. The more you learn to use your right hand for certain things, just like skating, the more you do it, the muscle memory kicks in and it just starts coming natural. Like now when I play, I don't even think that I was left-handed. I still write left-handed. But when it comes to guitar, like I can't even think of playing the other way around anymore. Like that part of my head, like just completely shut off.
Do you think that helps you with skating switch?
I
that's what I was thinking. You're playing guitar switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the whole concept. Like switch for me kind of came quicker than my natural stance. Like because I was a Mongo pusher, so that's why I can push switch really good. But there's like a whole story about skating, like how I started and competitions and the way people treated me as it was kind of hard to get accepted at the time.
Good segue. And I mean, obviously, like, you grew up, you did some traveling, your family was a lot about experiences. You were kind of a visual learner. You learned from your dad, you learned from watching, and, obviously doing some coordinated skilled sports as well, which kind of led you into, skateboarding. So what made you fall in love with skateboarding? When did you get your first skateboard? How did it all start?
I was 10 years old. I think the reason I fell in love with it is because, like I said, I was playing soccer, but it's a team sport. You always had to play off what the other players were doing. And even though like these neighborhood kids were like, that's all they did was skate. Anytime I went out with them and hung out, like we're all just like in a group, but everybody's working on their own, like, individual craft of it. Like one kid's working on a hill flip, one kid's working on 180s, one kid's working on shove-its.
Right.
And for me, I was the late bloomer. So I was just, working on getting my balance right and just like trying to pop ollies and stuff. And, like literally, like they're skating on the sidewalk. I'm in the grass.
Wow.
And I'm just doing like whatever it takes to like catch up to these guys so I can cruise around faster. Even when I would try to like skate with them, I would have to like sometimes stop, pick up my board and start running after them because they were just going too fast,
Were you skating with older kids? Like, were they all older kids than you, or were they your age, just been skating longer?
They were about my age, but yeah, they've been skating a lot longer. And my friend's 13-year-old cousin, he was like the best out of the crew at the time. So that's one thing I noticed as a kid. As long as I'm around somebody who's experienced and I'm really, really interested, like I just want to adapt to like what this guy's doing, like you could tell me whatever. And I'm like, just, please teach me.
It's similar to like watching your dad and an experienced musician wanting to pick up the skill there.
Yeah, exactly. It just because I just have to be, as an individual, I have to be personally interested in it, like really interested in it in order for me to, because I've had people try to teach me a lot of stuff, but if I'm not interested, it's kind of like one ear out the other. And yeah, I'm sorry, I did my best, like I'm still trying to solve a Rubik's Cube.
There's like a minimum, or there's a maximum amount of steps you can take. I forget what it is, like 28 or something to solve a Rubik's Cube. I forget. I don't know. I got some friends that do it. I'm sure there's some hacks around there some way.
Yeah, I think it's on my bucket list for life. I'm gonna figure that out. But yeah, back to skateboarding. I would skate around with them, and even when they weren't around, I would always hop this wall and go to this church next to the basketball court, and like that's where my dad would be like, where's Carlos? And they'd be like, oh yeah, he's at the church skating. And at the time, my father didn't look at skateboarding as like something promising, like it just got popular again, like back into the X Games, and was like
Right.
right after Tony Hawk did the 900, that's where the endorsements came. And then next thing you know, you're starting to see it more and more on TV. And like, if I wasn't skateboarding, I was watching skateboarding. And my brother-in-law gave me 2 4-in-1 VHS tapes, issue number 26 and 27. And literally I could watch that video over and over again, like all day, every day. And I would do the tracking slow-mo just to study like the movements. And I don't know, like one day it just clicked, the ollie came, and then eventually I was doing kickflip body varials in the grass. And the wedge skate park in Scottsdale was when I landed my first kickflip. And that's after like 6 months of practicing like every day nonstop. So like I said, I was out there no matter how hot or cold it was, and basically just got really, really dark because of the sun.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time out there, drinking a lot of water, getting warm on the skate park with a lot of sweat.
Oh yeah. Back then, man, it didn't even faze me. Like these days, if it's hot, like I usually just wait till it cools down.
Yeah.
Because it gets pretty bad out here.
Yeah, well, especially, now that a lot of skate parks it's more mainstream in the sense of like, you can skate at night. There are more localized skate parks. And in Arizona, they're kind of based off that California knowledge of having large cement skate parks areas where you can go to. So was that helpful to you where, in some other states, like, I don't know, I have no idea, Nashville, Tennessee might not have had a skate park in the late 2000s or early 2000s.
Well, for us, we had like local spots too. So if you're not at the skate park, and we would skate before school, there's this park. I mean, some of these spots that I grew up skating, unfortunately, are not there anymore, which I was bummed. We had to go look for them, but like there's this green power box we used to grind, and we used to skate off the bleachers on the side, but it's all fenced off now, and like the ground is rugged, so you can't even push on it. There's a skate park next to my old house that they took down. Dude, the middle school I went to is not even there anymore. So
wow,
some of these spots were like, I think the loading dock was one of like the spots that are never going to go away. But I remember like the school I used to skate's not there anymore. Man, I don't even know. Like I can catalog this all day, but I don't want to take up too much time. Just basically a lot of spots I grew up skating just are not there anymore.
Yeah.
And the loading dock that you referenced is the one behind Foodjoy.
It's called Food City.
Food City.
Yeah.
Food City.
Yeah, dude, that thing's pretty. I mean, for a loading dock, it's pretty tall, actually.
Yeah, it is. It reminds me of a skate spot that was near one of my friend's houses over here. Actually, it's literally, I ended up moving to that area. It's like right over here, and we used to skate it. And if I went back there now, I would be terrified to ollie off of it. But
yeah, we did a lot of DIYs there, like because there's a dock, so we would take like all the crates and we would make stair sets out of it. Like let's make a 8 stair today, and then the plastic crates, you can push them together. They're grindable, and then you could mani pad.
Huh.
So we used to just be out there MacGyvering every single spot, like
yeah.
Because
in the last video, I think you ollied over your Mazda.
Oh no, that was my buddy's car. Yeah.
Okay, that's the same spot though, right?
Yeah. Luckily, that was first try because I do not want to hit the car.
I saw that.
I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go like 10 times faster and just make sure. I mean, I don't care if I fall. I just don't want to hit your windshield or any of that stuff. So, luckily, that was a first try trick. So,
yeah.
He's like, do you want to kickflip it? I'm like, no, I'm good.
That was enough. I'll move. Let's move on to something else there. And so now you're picking up steam, right? You're now skating out before and after school all day, every day, getting better every day. And you find yourself now, entering some contests and you kind of move in between, like not just becoming a skater, but seeing this as a future. How did that happen?
I was skating Gilbert Skate Park. It's called Freestone. And I went there like every day for probably 3 months. And I would spend about 12 hours a day there.
Wow.
And I would just practice. And, I guess you could start hearing about the buzz, around the skate park. Like everybody's like, oh, there's this new kid named Carlos. He's good, but he pushes Mongo, and because I didn't pay attention to any of that stuff. I'm just more focused on what I'm doing, I didn't know that I was progressing as fast as I was. And then I moved back to Mesa, and there's this shop right across the street from Reed Park. It just opened up called Pacific Skate Shop. And I guess I just went in, dropped one tape off, like not expecting anything, and because that was the goal back then. You wanted to be sponsored. Like that's where usually it all starts. It's either a scout comes find you, or you have to. Well, I mean, back then, you had to take a VHS tape, drop it off to the dang shop, and just bug the hell out of them for like 2 weeks straight. Did you check out my tape? Did you check out my tape? Oh, and like at one point they're like, "Well, look at it, man. Just basically stop calling." But I guess they got my tape, and they sent one of the team riders across the street one day because they found out I was there, and then they're like, "Hey, yeah, this guy Brent wants to talk to you." And I'm like, "Brent who?" It's like the guy, he owns a skate shop. I went in there, and he was just telling me like, "Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about you, and like, do you have any sponsors?" I'm like, "No, I just skate for fun." "Well, do you want to be?" And then like that day, I remember he gave me like 3 decks and like 4 shirts. And I literally did that little kid thing where I went home and like slept in the bed with the new product,
Yeah.
I think every kid has like that habit, like, man, I can't believe it. And my dad's like, I think my dad was more happy because he didn't have to buy me any more skateboards at that point.
Yeah.
And my dad was one of those dudes, he always thought music was more important. So when he found out I was getting really good and getting sponsored, he was just like, he just kind of like this is a temporary thing, right? Like, I don't know if you could do this your whole life. And I think that like always echoed in my head of like him, like, I'll show you. That was like my attitude. Then I think like 2 weeks go by, first competition, and I didn't even know how to skate a contest. I just watched the X Games. I'd never been in one. Didn't know that you could feel that pressure. Like right before you run, your heart starts beating. And you're just like, whoa, your arms go numb. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I know. And ended up, it was like 13. I ended up getting 3rd place my very first contest. And
That's
then
awesome.
I get that little, like, that high you get from it. Like, the adrenaline, like, whoa, that was cool. Like everybody like liked it. And then I think a month goes by and I go to the Wedge in Scottsdale. And that was when I won my first contest.
And a month after you started skating, like what would be the local contest scene?
Yeah, the local contest scene. I was just able to keep up with like all these kids, but I didn't know there was like a standard at the time. I was just skating.
Yeah.
And
what did your dad think about that when they won that first contest?
Just it was always like, good luck. I hope you do well. But to me, like, music's more important. And I think it took me forever to prove him wrong. I think I was like maybe about 20. This is like after I moved out to California, and I was skating the heavier contest at the time. But I got into this contest circuit for so many years. It was a Mountain Dew competition at Vans in North Phoenix, and there was a scout there, like this guy, I forget his name, Al Garcia. And he pulled me aside like later because I ran into him at Mesa, and he was just telling me like, like, you're actually doing a lot better than a lot of these kids out here. You ever consider like going to California or any of that stuff? I never really thought about it. I didn't even know at the time that it was like the Mecca. That's like where you need to go to make it. So I was just like, I don't know. I got to talk to my parents, and I'm only 14 at this time. Like,
right.
I'm a kid. I'm like, I'm just getting this like offer, and I'm like, well, let me talk to my parents and see what they say about it. And my older brother at the time, he was a manager at Papa John's, so he like had a car and everything. And there's this, of all contests, a freestyle competition in Pasadena, California, and I got invited to go, and I didn't have a ride, so he chauffeured me out there, which was nice of him. And
nice.
it was the first time I got intimidated. Just like, wow, like everybody here is consistent, but I'm like the little dude, I'm like shorter than everybody, and I'm just like what I always tell myself to do: just do your best, just do what you know. And I got 2nd in the AMs, and then I got 5th in the pros.
Wow.
But I didn't know
That's
I was
awesome.
skating with these. I didn't know I was skating with these legendary pros at the time. And this is a freestyle competition, which a lot of people don't know why I can do freestyles. That's like after the kickflip, I saw Rodney Mullen, and then I just got hooked to that style. So next, you know, primos and Caspers and all that stuff, pogos, handstand flips.
And so that's like what most people see as the traditional contest scene is, you know, either transition, vert, or park, or like street, you know, those kind of ones. Freestyle is a unique set of skateboarding skills that require a lot. I mean, even different skateboards, right? Some of the shapes they're not necessarily the popsicle shape.
Yes, put it this way, I couldn't skate a freestyle deck. I grew up skating on popsicle style.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it was Rodney Mullen's opinion video. I was just like, oh, he's doing freestyle and street. Like, oh, you can blend it all in together. This is where I started thinking about the concept of, man, there really is no such thing as style of skateboarding. Like there's style that you can get out of it, but realistically, it's all skateboarding. Like you could take this trick of freestyle and like put it onto this handrail, which is street, and put it together, you know?
Yeah, he was
not held to a category.
He was the one who really broke, in my mind as well, one of the ones that broke that mold, especially when Daewon and him in almost round three, that video, it was so untraditional, and they were doing things that I couldn't even fathom. And
you know, it's funny. I actually went to that premiere.
No way.
Yeah, brother again came through. We packed the car. It was like 5 or 6 of us, and we just, you know, we had like half a day to get there. So right when we got there, the premiere was like happening, and we're just like, okay, we made it just in time.
That's amazing.
And there's a funny story about that night though, because the guy who told us to park in the parking lot, you know, we didn't know we had to pay. So as soon as the video was sick, we all had a great time, you know, popcorn and everything, and come outside, you'd see my brother's car on the freaking tow truck. And dude, I remember just like, oh no, because I didn't have any money at the time.
Yeah, like, you're like, what are we gonna do?
Nah, my brother, whatever money we had for the trip, he had to cough it up right then and there. And those tow truck drivers, man, they can be relentless. They do not care.
No,
they don't care.
Yeah, once you're on their truck, you're in their territory. There's nothing.
It's over.
So we luckily talked him out of it. We basically told him the situation. Like, dude, if you do this, there's like 6 of us here. There's like one 21-year-old and all these like 13, 14-year-olds. Like, you're just going to put us out on the street in Hollywood of all places?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, we somehow convinced them for like, I think it was like $350 to put the car down. And we just like tried to beeline home with whatever gas we had, but we knew we were going to have to panhandle. Like, this is the only way.
Damn.
So we had luckily, I had won a contest, so I brought a couple extra boards with me. So we pulled into the 7-Eleven parking lot and just kind of sat there and waited. And we saw this guy with his kid had a skateboard, but it was all banged up. And so me and my brother just went up to him, told him the situation, and just like, you know, we just need a couple bucks, but I could sell you these 2 boards for cheap. We just need gas money, and like, we don't have money to eat right now. And luckily, that guy was really cool. He just like, yeah, just follow me. I'll get you gas. Just follow me down the street. And he made us sausage links, let us use the restroom to clean up, and, you know, like a very courteous person. Like, we were just like, all right, we have just enough to get home. Let's not risk anything. All right, let's just go home now.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's
amazing what the community of skateboarding can do. Because like, I feel like there's so many good people within the community, and if you explain to them, you know, he's got a kid, he understands. Like, it's pretty cool that just that little, you know, popsicle shaped board under your feet can create such a beautiful story there.
Yeah, I've gotten, I wouldn't say I got away with so many things. I just pretty much I made deals with people, you know?
Yeah.
Times where I needed to eat, like, sponsors would give me like extra product to just, you know, because like I said, I moved out when I was like 15. So like a year later after that incident, and even my brother was like, you still gonna go handle it out there? I'm like, I don't really feel like I have anything to lose.
Yeah. So what was the decision so young and so early in your career, right? You had been winning contests in the local scene. You went to a freestyle contest, and then you decided to move to California.
Yeah.
That's a big choice for a 15-year-old to say, hey, I first off, I'm going to take this gamble. You might not know the results of what it is, but like, your parents letting you take that gamble is a huge one too. So talk about that whole process.
And was that like
I just
summer or was that like during school? Like, yeah, how did that work out?
this was oh man, I can't even remember the exact date. I know it was a February because I was gonna turn 16 that year. So I mean, convincing my father was probably the hardest thing to do
Yeah.
because he had told me a story. He moved to California when he was about that age to try to make it in music, and he's just basically in conclusion, he couldn't last a month.
Yeah.
That was like the conclusion, and I think he said it to like scare me or something. But
I
for
kind
me,
of
I was
like it
like,
though.
I'm like, man, and I asked him this question. I'm like, well, you couldn't make it that long, but what if I could beat that? Like that was like the goal, like like basically game on. So
Yeah.
when I got the opportunity to leave, at the time, my parents unfortunately were splitting up too. So it was just kind of all right. Well, I guess this is all I got left to focus on,
Hmm.
because I did have a good opportunity, and I just knew if I didn't take it right then and there, like that window was going to shut, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to, I mean, I was already working too, so I was working at like Pizza Hut, and
Right.
and I was very responsible at the time, so I knew everything that I did, I was with my own money.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
You moved to
obviously he gave
California.
me yeah, he gave me a couple $100, but like I know from experience, like man, that's not really gonna get me far. So we went out
Right.
there, and I would just, basically go off contest money, and I would go back and forth for school and stuff.
Sure.
Like when I was 18 officially, that's when I was like, I'm staying out here. But I was
Yeah.
constantly coming back for 3 years, back and forth, back and forth. There's a contest, all right. There's a demo, okay, I'm on my way. And I
Yeah.
I didn't even like need my brother anymore at the time. I just started taking Greyhounds.
Wow.
So it's like Greyhounds, and you take the freaking train to Long Beach. You freaking take a bus to the guy's house, and then basically
That's grassroots.
jump straight into the car, and then just go to a demo and
Man,
go
that's
to
crazy.
That might be
yeah.
something that's lost in today's culture, though. Is like I don't, not a lot of kids have that drive to become that big, and it might be because there's a different medium like YouTube. And I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but
Oh yeah,
YouTube really wasn't a thing in growing up. So you had to do the traditional route. You had to go to big skate parks. You had to go to demos. You had to go to contests to get your name out there. And until you got your name out there was no really route for you, right?
yeah. I think the biggest problem I had when I got there, and I could talk about it now, but I wouldn't really talk to anybody because I didn't know. Like I didn't know about socializing,
Yeah.
because now out there I learned it doesn't matter how good you are, you have to be able to like be a personality as well. But I learned that later in the years through NKA.
Yeah.
Because back then, for like, there was like a 4 year period, I was just letting the skateboarding do the talking, and I wouldn't really talk to anybody.
Well,
Which I
especially
think,
because
in hindsight, it was like probably the wrong way to go.
but especially because like you were using skateboarding in Arizona as an outlet to just prove to yourself and to you were doing it by yourself. You weren't doing it for anyone else. But in California, you were getting there and using the same mentality, not necessarily seeing it as like, if I talk to this guy, he's the friend who owns this, his friend owns this company who could potentially get me involved. And you weren't thinking of it as a 15, 16, 17 years old. You're not thinking of it as a business venture and to socialize, like you're saying.
Yes, skipping back to that, like I forgot the decision I made to move to California is when I started street skating.
And what was the
But
choice between to moving to street skating as a focus?
I filmed something in like a month's time,
Your first
and
video?
I guess I didn't even know about video parts like that. I was just filming.
Yeah.
Then my buddy just, hey, look at this tape, and I guess he had edited together, and that video ended up going on YouTube, which at the time it got I think 138,000 views, and that's when YouTube had just started, so that's like a big algorithm. I'm like, I
Yeah.
understand it now,
Yeah.
but that's kind of how California got wind of me too, because they're like seeing me skate, and at this point I don't push Mongo anymore. I just had a really good friend. Like we'd skate the park all day, and we'd just jump in his Cutlass Supreme and just go street skating from like 10 to 7 in the morning, dude. And we'd just film like nonstop.
And it's fun because you're not isolated to one location too, which is great. Like you know, like you said, you had all these spots you could hop around to.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's
exactly.
like for me, like I grew up, you know, I was a BMX kid when I was younger, and it's like the fun for me was just going around to different spots all the time, and I wasn't too into the park. I was more into like the experience outside and trying to come up with something creative out there. Is that kind of what
Well,
you enjoyed about it too?
these friends would just push me, like, because I was, they didn't like the fact that I freestyled at the time. They're just like, come on, man, like board slide a rail, like jump this. And then I started becoming the yes man as a kid, because we'd go there and like, yeah, I'm gonna film this, I'm gonna do this trick, and my friend would just, none of them would ever like jump down it, no matter what it was. I'm like, I go, I'll volunteer, I'll be the dude, I'll be the guinea pig, and from there, I just, when I watched that footage, I was just like, oh, so I can do this, like this is like meant for me. So when I was 18, got a job at Taco Bell full time, and it was tacos, Pizza Hut, and skateboarding. And it was like that's all I had time for.
Yeah. When you weren't working, you were working on becoming a professional skateboarder. And so how did you talked about NKA a little bit, and I think he is one of these interesting people out there that has more or less like an incubator for soon to be pros or up and coming skaters in Southern California. And how did you get introduced to him and start to work with him?
Oh, okay. Oh man, he sucks. No, I'm just kidding. That's actually, he's gonna listen to this. It's actually an inside joke. We've
Yeah.
we've always like bagged on each other. I met him. It was when I was doing the Damn Am series. It was in Costa Mesa, and I did my run. And like out there, that's where the judging's more of. I think politics. Like you have to have a certain sponsor to qualify a certain number. Like it's weird how it worked, how I figured it out. But it's kind of where I started drifting away from competition scenes, and I started. He came up to me one day and he's like, "Man, you're really consistent, like really good. Like, have you ever like you've seen my videos, right?" And I'm like, "What, on YouTube?" He's like, "Yeah, I've watched a few." It's like, "Well, is that something you want to be interested in doing?" And he's like, "I'll show you a lot of cool stuff. I'll teach you about the industry, and basically I'll school you on how things need to be." So it was like him, Dave Baczynski, and like he showed up at the local park I was skating at the time in Long Beach and just said, "Hey, I got an extra spot in my car. Do you want to come? We're just going to go to this park down the street." And it basically just history from there. He would come pick me up, like it was once a week, then it was 3 or 4 times a week. Some days we would do like 6, 7 days a week.
Holy cow.
And we're just filming nonstop. And it was like the same thing happened again. Like I'm not thinking about a video part at all, but he puts it all into one compilation and says, "Hey, I don't know if you're down, but you basically filmed the part in 1 month. And like this will help your career, like shoot you up there a little bit more. So is it okay if I, drop it this week?" And like I said, I'm not gonna say no, like for sure. Like I didn't even get to see it. I was like, "Well, can you show me a rough cut?" He's like, "Nah, just." He'd always say this. He'd always say, "Just trust me." And I'm like, "Well, you're the reason like P-Rod's pro and a lot of these kids get noticed." So, I put it in his hands, and luckily it all worked out. And there's like so many more projects to come. Not to mention just doing vlogs with him and just going to different parks, skating, meeting people. He definitely helped me grow as a skateboarder and even as like a person, because me and him have things that happen in our lives that are relatable. I won't talk about personal stuff, but we just we look out for each other's backs.
Yeah. He seems to
Awesome.
be a genuinely, every person that we've had on the show who's worked with him has said the same kind of sentiment, that he's just a genuinely amazingly good person.
I've seen a few people build bridges. Like I said, I won't name drop, but I've like watched it play out right in front of me, and it's like, why would you even do that? Like that's like the worst thing you can do. And somebody who actually takes their time to teach you all this stuff and show you, not to mention not even charge you for gas money or anything. Just he's always been like an older brother type to me.
I think some
And
people just don't understand things, and they don't have the, I don't know.
What I honestly think it is, it's just they get a little taste of what kind of like notoriety is, and they think that they're known and they don't need him anymore.
Okay.
And that's not what you're supposed to do. Like I was always taught, like, even if somebody bums you out, like try not to burn bridges because, you know, the vicious circle will go around and they might have something else to offer a little bit later down the road.
Yeah.
So I just never really believed in burning bridges unless I really, really had to. Like you had to have been really, really mean to me.
Yeah, and it seems, I mean, that's kind of a selfish move, right, for some of those people. And I mean, it's a pay it forward thing. And I noticed, like, from just watching your content and seeing what you do, it seems like you're always trying to help out the community too. And it's like you've mentioned,
Yeah,
like, hey, if somebody's struggling with like a skate trick, like, you know, I'm happy to help them, or say, hey, give them a pointer here or there.
yeah. I'm usually that guy. Like I'll see somebody struggling and I can see exactly because I've been teaching for 10 years. Like I
Mhm.
can see exactly what they're doing wrong and basically, you know, just give them a hint, show them this is the way you're supposed to move. Like sometimes they just do the right movements but out of order, you know. You
Yeah.
just need to do it this way. And when they land it, they always give me that. They'll look back at me and not even blink, like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just saw what you were doing wrong and I wanted to fix it for you, you know.
What is this sorcery you put on me?
I don't know. That's another thing that was acquired on how I got into teaching, man. That's a whole different story. But that's
Yeah.
the whole thing is like my whole life on a skateboard, it's just been adventurous. And like I could probably sit here and talk for 6 hours straight and just tell you all these cool stuff that happened, you know? Like one time I had a hitchhike to a competition in
How'd
the
that
middle
go?
of Tehachapi. Uh, Found out last minute, got time off work, woke up at like 4 a.m. My sponsor gallery at the time, he drove me to an Amtrak. So I jumped onto there, got off in Bakersfield, then took a bus like an hour into Tehachapi, which is like, if anybody knows, it's like wine country out there. It's like nothing. So it drops me off at a Burger King. I see a group of skaters and I'm like, oh man, I might be close, yo. Like, dang, that was pretty convenient. Pretty easy trip so far. And I look at the kids, I was like, hey man, do you know where Woodward is? They're like, what, Woodward West? They're like, yeah, it's like 26 miles that way. And
Holy,
there's no sidewalks. There's literally no sidewalks at all.
it's a
And I
miracle.
have
By the way.
I have like the heaviest backpack on, and I'm like, man, okay, well, I don't know anybody for a ride out here. Like, and at the time, Uber didn't even exist or any of that stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, just
You definitely did things the hard way a lot.
strapped my bag up, made sure it was tight for my back, and I was like, that way, right? I just started pushing. So I pushed like a good 12 miles.
Wow.
And then I stopped
That's insane.
at stopped by a gas station to get some water, and I was like, you know, and I'm on a time crunch. The sun's like going down, so I'm asking this lady. She draws up directions for me, the store clerk, and so I'm like, okay, thank you so much. And I'm all drenched in sweat, you know, like breathing hard. I guess this old lady had overheard me, so I skate about another 4 miles. Then she pulls like right in front of me, and then she's like, hey, you know, hey, sonny boy, you need a ride? Like, you're going to, I live next to Woodward. I'll just take you there. And I'm like,
That's awesome.
normally I wouldn't do this. I've never hitchhiked in my life, but all right, let's
It
go.
seems safe.
Yeah, no, she was like a
Did she know you were going to Woodward, or did she ask you?
Well, she had overheard me talking to the store clerk.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
So she had to go run some errands, and then she knew I was going to be on this road because you can't really get far in a heavy bag and like a small wheel skateboard. You know, the ground was kind of rugged too. But yeah, she was like the sweetest old lady. She took me there, and then I explained to them like what had happened because they're like, you know, what the hell happened to you? Everybody's all like signing in. They're all like dressed nice. I'm all drenched in sweat, freaking dirt running down my face, dude. Like, you won't believe what happened. I tell them the story, right? And I guess the whole competition weekend, they just kind of were intrigued by that. Like, this guy has heart. He skated he took a train and a bus, and he skated 14 miles just to get closer to this place. And I didn't do well in the competition. I got like 21st place, but I won best trick, and that was my very first like big like industry win, you know.
What was the trick?
No, it was like nose grind across this like 21-foot ledge, and it has like a 6 or 7 foot drop. It did nollie double flip up.
That's insane. So Yeah, I mean that's a crazy story to like literally that shows the drive that you have to get closer to a goal, and that goal was to become a professional skateboarder, right?
Dude, the funniest thing is, it took me forever to get there. And then one of my buddies who happened to be living next to me at the time, he was in the same competition, so I got easily a ride back home.
Oh, that's
There you go.
So it worked itself out on that one.
yeah, that's nice to see. It would have been nice to know that on your way out, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Like, hey, thanks for the heads up, man.
Keep in mind you're skating for 4 days straight. Like
Yeah.
you're by Sunday you're done.
Yeah, but most people didn't skate there, so their legs might be a little fresher in the competition.
Oh man, I think like a lot of their parents
brutal.
brought them. A lot of their parents had brought them.
Yeah.
But
I think it's great though. It's like, it seems like, I don't know, it almost seems like a lot of your competitive nature too just comes from like you and your dad's relationship, you know?
Yeah, it's just more
Like, kind of not so much prove him wrong, but like, you know what, I'm gonna go do it. And he's like, I like that he kind of challenged you and was like, I don't know about California, I don't know about this, and it's like it makes you kind of have that internal drive.
Yeah, and it's kind of, it's one of those things where you only really have yourself. I mean, you got acquaintances, but you have to want it for yourself in order to get it done,
Yeah,
because especially in skateboarding, because nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah, especially like a team sport where you might be able to be on like the best soccer team in your area, and you might not be the best kid, but like just because you're a part of that team or part of the association, you might be able to skate by a little further.
Yeah, but it's all fun, man. At the end of the day, these are just like when you start cataloging all the stories. I'm like, I forgot about that. Like I haven't told this story in I don't know how long, dude. Maybe like 4 years. I forget about things, especially now because I'm in a new chapter, and like there was like being a kid, having asthma, then there was skateboarding, then competition series, then going back and forth California, then getting a Joe job and balancing skateboarding and that all your own. And then there's the NKA era, which that's where I learned about a lot of the skate industry and how to handle yourself and become a personality. And then I think a lot of the stuff that I told you are just like from competitions,
Yeah.
Like I played a lot of games of skate competitions too. Those were one of my favorites to do.
And so you're working your way through this system and getting knowledge from NKA. Now you're living in California, which is the location where you have to be sponsored. And you start to get picked up by brands, right? Currently,
yeah.
What was the first brand that got you on there?
I want to say through Gallery Board Shop in Long Beach. I was getting on Team BK, so it's like a training flow program for amateurs. So they would give me like 4-star and Nixon watches and S shoes, and like basically just they would hook you up, man. Like anything that you needed, like once or twice a month, they would. He was just never home though. That was the one thing. I would have to like take a bus to his house and go pick up this box and carry it all the way back home, But I always had like phone meetings with this guy, and I actually still know him to this day. Actually, anytime there's a holiday, I say what's up to him. But yeah, there was there, and I got on Flow for America for about a year, and man, a lot of other sponsors too. Then I was on this company called Full on One Skateboards for about a year. And then I rode for Mike Vallely's company, Elephant Skateboards. I did that for 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think it wasn't up until I think after the Elephant thing, because like I kind of became a free agent. I kind of not really dropped all my sponsors, but I didn't want to really be on Flow anymore. I wanted to be on something more like more part of the actual company, So through NKA, that's where I got introduced to Andy Chirac and Brian Ames. And that's where it really, really started, because at the time I was working on a video part with NKA. This was like officially like we're working on this, did this for 2 years, but I don't have any board sponsors. So he reached out to them and I got to meet them in Santa Monica Stoner Plaza. But the funniest story about it, I guess I could talk about it now, was how this is the one time NKA was just like, all right, just do me a favor when you're skating with these guys, don't skate your heart out yet. Like kind of just do it as like a teaser, don't show them like basically don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
And I'm
hold
like,
back a little bit because there could be another brand. Is that kind of what he's saying? Like,
yeah, hold on.
you now are skating with Brian and Andy. How did that go?
I was like intimidated because I knew about them. I'd watch some of their videos, and for some reason, for me, Brian's the nicest guy ever. But if you meet him in person, he's kind of intimidating at first, but in a good way.
100%. He was the first episode of my podcast ever, of the podcast ever.
It's like I just don't want to get on his bad side. That's all I kept thinking. Like, I don't want to ruin this.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I felt like I was on not like a thin wire, but I had to like balance everything. It wasn't just about skateboarding anymore. It was about like how you handle yourself with people, and it was the PR of it, I guess. The public relations.
Yeah.
And so
almost marketing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You're the commodity in this case, and your skateboard does the talking, but you also have to be associated with this brand and a personality on their channels potentially. And so
like
you end up joining Revive, right? Or you end up joining
I was getting on Flow for Revive.
Okay.
And that I was okay with. Like, they sent me a complete and like a couple extra decks and like t-shirts, and basically just showing them that I could advertise this all the time. Like, no matter where we went, I was always wearing the logos and hyping it up on my Instagram feed, and just learning how to basically, not in a bad way, but turn yourself into like a walking billboard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm only here to, like, that's what I'm doing right now. This is a spring line of check it out, progress daily.
Dude, make the drop. John's been on
make that drop.
So John's awesome, man. He's actually in Texas right now.
Yeah, he moved down there.
But follow up, this is kind of cool because everything came into fruition like kind of all at once. So there was being Flow for Revive for like the first year, and then they started talking about developing a new company, which is now known as 3 Block.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't even have a name for it yet. Like, nothing was like set in stone. They're just like, yeah, we really want to do something with you, and we'll like start you off as amateur. And I'm like, cool, I'm just down for whatever, man. Like, whatever you guys need. But yeah, it was that first Vegas trip that I was like, I got the itch to skate hard. And NK, I think you would look at NKA and he'd just be like this, like, not yet. Just, put his head,
pump the
calm
brake.
It down, pump the brakes, dude. So I would skate within like reason. I would just basically just do my warm-ups. So the first year it looked like I just kept doing the same tricks, but it was just because I couldn't really push it. And then that's when Braille starts coming in. How I initially got on Braille was just going to LA, and they would skate Lake Street Park. And when I found out I was going to skate with Aaron Cairo, I was all hyped, but I was thinking it was regular skateboarding. Like, that's the funniest thing about it. And it ended up, he walks in with a door, like a full-on room door. I'm like,
that was the first time.
Yeah, I was like,
which
what
is
are we
doing? A super infamous video, because it's he at that point their channel was kind of breaking the mold of what traditional skateboard videos were.
Yeah. And then there was just that, and like, it was that and a TV or something like that.
Yeah.
And because NK that morning just told me, hey, just get ready to get out of your comfort zone. And I was like, what does that mean? Whatever. So I meet Aaron, I meet Lance, and we hit it off right away. It was cool, because like I said, I was always like the ragdoll of the crew of like my friends and family. Like, I was always jumping off stuff and hucking. Even my competition days, when I knew it was like time to perform, it was like, I think I can kickflip this, just go straight for it. And 9 times out of 10, I got lucky, dude. I was always landing them.
I don't know if it's luck. There's some serious skill in there too. But so you end up. I want to go back to one thing before I guess maybe it's in the segue. So you end up going to Braille and you start skating with them there, and then you end up joining. How did that happen? You becoming from just a casual member to a full-on cast member of the channel?
Well, it was like a trial run, like at this time, being Flow for Revive and, skating with Aaron and Lance, I felt like I was interning. Like, I was learning about their algorithms, how their PR is, what their demographic is. And I was like, oh, it's all family. So from there, I was just like, okay, I can do this. Like, I'm pretty good with kids anyways, because I to lead up to that, I was working for a company called Skate Dogs, and it's an after school teaching program in Southern California. So already I knew how to like talk to parents. I knew how to watch my mouth in front of kids and just, be very courteous and nice to them. And from that point, like my video part was just about to come out like a month before. So now I meet these guys. I have Andy and Brian and Neil, the Andy Chirac. I have Braille that's going to help me advertise this part. And then NK is going to advertise it. And I'm going to advertise it too. So we have these 4 different platforms that we're just going to be, okay, we're going to push this video part as far as I can like take it. And it peaked out at like 338,000 on my social media. I don't know how it was on NKA's, but I remember it like it kind of blew up, and I was like, wow. I even like had to do this thing where you get a contract to get the rights to the song, but I knew the guy personally, so he hooked me up. But we had to go through like signing,
The
release
copyright.
form, like, yep, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Which is a big deal nowadays.
Yeah, from there, I moved back to Long Beach from LA. And then I got a job as a fish reel chef because I knew 3 Block's going to be coming out like very soon, but I still need to make money, pay my rent.
Yeah.
So I was just working and skating with NKA. And then Aaron had asked me like a month after I started skating with him because they had just got the skate park. I remember going there like the first like 2 weeks, and we got to skate. We were like one of the first people to skate it. And just like, whoa, there was nothing in there, by the way. Like the back room, completely empty, just a bunch of piles of wood. They had like the 5-stair, the 3-stair, and like a couple hovers and like a mani pad. Like there was nothing there, but that's when I met Gabe and started filming. And we got back. That's when Aaron was just, hey man, like, how do you feel about moving to the Bay Area? I'm like, I don't know, man. I kind of just got this job. Like, I don't like to just like quit right away, So, and I was waiting for, 3 Block to come out too. So I had something, to be on. And I waited probably about 6 months, and I was just working all the time. And then it's because when I got that phone call, I was like 27. Andy and Brian, they set up like, hey, kind of how we set up a Zoom meeting, like, hey, we need to talk, 9 a.m. on this Wednesday. Like, we need to talk to you about something important. And I like Andy because he likes to mess with you a lot. So I was thinking I was in trouble, like, man, what did I do? About to get kicked off. So he just, yeah, him and Brian, split screen. I was talking to them, and they're like, all right, first things first. Do you want to be pro? I was like, what? I'm like half awake, dude. I'm like just getting ready for work. And they're like, no, just answer the question. Do you want to be a pro skater? I was like, yeah, that's kind of why I've always done this. It's been my dream. He takes his phone and he just like points it at me, and there's the graphic. It's like, you okay with it? And it was the filthy animal one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they said they were going to turn me AM for 3 Block. And then they just turned me pro, like right off the bat.
It's
awesome.
It's kind of crazy because if we pull back to the first sponsor that you talked about on the show, the first time you got sponsored, the guy kind of had a similar conversation with you, right? You're at the shop. Yeah. Like, so do you want to be sponsored? And it's these cavalier conversations are just, it doesn't even seem real, but it's so interesting that they just were like, you want to be pro? Oh, by the way, here's your pro deck. Congratulations. How cool was that feeling at that point?
It was cool, but the suspense was killing me because they told me a month before it happened. So I had to like walk around biting my tongue. It was like, I can't, they're like, cause I'd be smiling under my mouth, like, yeah. They're like, what are you so happy about? Like, I can't talk about it yet. So I think I told, well, my roommate knew because he was like next to me during the phone call. And he was all, come on, man, I'll go buy you a beer. Let's go do it. I'm like, dude, I gotta go to work, man. Like maybe later we'll celebrate, but I'm good right now, dude.
Did you call your dad? Did you? Because that had to be such a cool validation of like, first off, you had at this point made it more than the 1 month that your dad had made it in California. This is what, years later, at least 5 or 6, 7 years later. And so now
this was 12 years later.
12 years.
Yeah, since we had that first conversation. And I just kind of did what I did with the guitar. Like, I didn't tell him, and I just sent him a photo one day.
That's so
like the day that I turned the day that I turned pro, I sent him the photo. And it was
That's awesome.
June 20th, 2017.
Wow.
So I've been pro for almost 4 years now.
That's amazing. I bought the your new deck today.
Oh, the oh man, the Tiger.
What's it called? Oh my god, it's gonna kill me.
I'm so bad because they always name these boards and I always forget them.
It'll be on the set. I'm gonna redo my set, but it'll be there.
It's gonna be my first dang, what was it? Filthy Animal.
Fried Tiger.
Fried Tiger, that's what it was.
Fried
Yeah.
Tiger, yeah.
Sorry, Andy. Sorry, Brian. It's kind of hard to catalog all these all the time.
Well, and then Andy does those funny Warehouse Wednesdays where he's like pretending to name things, and it's just like I don't know how you could keep up with it. But okay, so you end up going pro, and when you went pro, were you already a cast member of Braille? No. So this was before when you were still at Long Beach, before you had moved north.
Yeah, this is like when I guess you could say I was interning for them. I'll just come by and just be the camp, like in the background. But I was always like saying stupid stuff already, like just punning it. That's one thing I would do. I just like make jokes out of anything and everything. If I thought it was funny, I'm gonna say it, But it's kind of a business move because I had reached out to Aaron after that. 6 months later, I call him and just ask him, hey, is that offer still there? He's like, oh, so you really want to move out here? Yeah, I'm like down, and I was thinking of it as a part where, I can't really sell these boards being a fish grill cook anymore. And Braille has like the biggest platform, and like I'm sure they could help me grow and I can get better as a skateboarder there, because for me, it's a training facility. So I just packed up, and our lease was up too. So it's like the timing couldn't have been way more perfect.
Yeah.
So I went to go stay with one of my old teammates for about a week, and his roommate was work all week. So he's like, "You're not moving in, are you?" And I'm like, No. I'm actually getting ready to take off. I'm just here for a couple of days. And what do you call? He sent Chloe out here. I think she was already out here, but they let me use their Prius. So they dropped the car off to me because they had an extra car. I loaded up this Prius with anything that I owned, and by myself, at 2 p.m. I took off and went beelined it straight to, I think it was Oakland at the time. They got me an Airbnb for a few days, and then I got to stay at the warehouse for just a few days too. While I was like saving up, getting ready to move to the city. So that's kind of where it all began.
And so you entered Braille after kind of what you would refer to as interning, and you joined the channel. And what were your expectations when you joined the channel?
I had no idea. I just knew that Gabe was the cameraman.
Yep.
I've been practicing. There's a lot of stuff that I've never filmed that I want to start getting on. And the main channel was always the harder one, because the Braille Army channel, it's more, regular skateboarding. You can just pick a trick that's like pretty technical, but so far you're just gonna be skating your own board, Like the main channel, man, there's some spills I've took, man, that just, what was I thinking,
Yeah, so you end up like, from our perspective, you were like throwing yourself full force into this channel, putting every dime of your body into it, and the Braille drop. You boards. I mean, it had to have been terrifying. First off, you jumped off the Braille drop with a bed of nails skateboard. That is just insane. And so you're doing all these kind of crazy stunts, and how did they come about? Was it just like joint, like, hey, let's do this, or you were just becoming what you referred to yourself at the beginning was like kind of the guy who would just end up doing all of it?
To give you everything in a nutshell, we had meetings on it, and a lot of it would just be, they would throw it on the board and just laughing about it, and I would just be, I think I could do it, and like everything would go to a halt. Like everybody just come quiet, look at me, like, you seriously want to try this? I mean, the nail board was about the unpenetrable shoes, so I'm like, well, yeah, they're impenetrable, right? And it's not like I'm landing on one nail, like it's a bed of nails. Like all I got to do is all I can say to myself is just don't kick the board away from you.
Yeah.
So even if you watch the video, like I don't kick out one time, because I knew that's like the worst thing you could do. and
That's crazy.
just to land it, literally, I was on my last try, and I was up on top of the barrel drop, and that's where they kept all the props. So I don't know why. I saw a lightsaber. I just grabbed it. I just got distracted. I was like, I didn't even notice that I was doing the drop anymore. I was like, I'm just gonna ride off one more time, But this will look funny, like me flying out with a lightsaber. That was a joke. And then my weight shifted back, snapped the tail, and just rode away. And I remember Aaron's reaction was just like speechless. He could not speak. I think he's like, I can't believe it. And then, yeah, board sliding down the thing was, I don't know. Anything I thought was possible, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
But leading up to that, I didn't know.
How do you weigh that risk versus reward, though? I mean, some of those things are crazy that I'm looking at. We look at like, there's a lot of high risk, low reward, or low reward, high risk type things out there. I mean, how do you gauge that? I guess it's based off of your own talent ability, but you had to look at some and say, there's no way.
The 17-foot rafter, I was pretty much scared for my life on that one. That was probably the scariest I've been the entire time. Board sliding, even the barrel drop wasn't even that like intimidating. Because at that point, like this is a year and a half in, like I've already hucked a lot of big stuff. So it's like, how can you push it for yourself? But I didn't know that I was stressing my own body out, subconsciously. I didn't know that. Like I was just getting older and ended up getting like these rashes on my face, which, dude, that was, I guess from what I know from the doctor now, it was all stress related.
Yeah. Those stresses, obviously you're doing a lot of physical stress, but like the mental stress, everything you guys are doing, you probably put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you can it'll manifest itself physically.
Well, I just didn't want it to be like an expectation for like, I don't want it to always have to be me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was already gone for a while, and I was just sat in my car one day and just realized, yeah, it's just time to move on, Like I called, gave 3 weeks in advance, and I made sure to leave on good terms. Like we had a goodbye video, and
yeah.
Then I realized like I didn't really say anything to the public relations, like the people who was watching. So that's where me and John Hill ended up making that video, and basically he officially put me on Progress Daily, which I was already on. I just hadn't made an announcement, and then just got to just chill I went to Utah for about a year, just chilled out. Didn't skate too much, but I had to take care of my face. So I didn't do anything for like 3 months so I wouldn't stress my body out. And I had to wait patiently. And I remember when I healed like my face, I looked one day in the mirror, I'm like, oh, it's all gone.
Yeah.
And so after you,
and how were you feeling mentally there? Were you feeling pretty good?
That there it was good. Cause like, I guess like all the pressure went away, like I kind of just wanted to get back into skateboarding on my own terms, and I had kind of a slow start because I was in Utah like eating a lot, so I kind of gained some some lbs, man. A lot of
getting
Z's
back
and
up to weight.
Yeah, a lot of Z's and a lot of lbs.
Yeah.
But from there I just started just working out, and it took a minute. It took like six months, and then man, like this is a new chapter in my life, because I didn't really tell anybody this, but I got into a really bad car accident. Like as soon as I moved back to Arizona, I went to go visit California for like a month, and I was doing a skate lesson coming back from what's it? I can't even think of the name. Hold on, man. Sorry, I'm really bad with these cities.
California's
Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was on my way back, and this car had cut me off, and I was in a van, freaking lost full control, spun out, ended up flipping the van like into a ditch, and like nearly just broke my back. So I had to start doing physical therapy on that.
Wow.
And then there's some stuff that like happened, a couple family deaths, and it was kind of like a little bit of a dark time. So I had to put skateboarding off for a little bit to do physical therapy. And as soon as my back got better, my knee got worse. And then it was just like, man, one thing after another. But after my father had passed away, I was just thinking about like how that conversation went when I was a kid, and like, because it goes to that same thing again. Doctors telling you can't do it, and then you're just like, no, I can beat this. So I started doing yoga, just taking physical therapy like really serious. And it took probably every day for about 3 months. And
Wow.
eventually just was able to step on a board again, popped one ollie, and I'm like, wow, that felt really good. And just that's where I've been ever since. I just been, not taking anything for granted anymore and just making the best of it. Like optimism at its finest.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
when
awesome.
was the decision that you were going to now use your self-titled channel to start to build a positive message and kind of recreate the image of who you are and what you're doing with the future?
Well, this goes back to, just being a part of Braille and just being known as a character, it's kind of felt like you're, like you're on a sitcom or something, like the whole Cthulhu thing was, they were making shirts out of it, and I got graphic grip from it, and people would send me fan art and like customized skateboards with that logo on it. And I was like, wow, this is like a serious thing, It's just to show people that, I do skate good. I am like pretty good at something I do as long as I'm interested in it. But at the same time, I'm just a normal guy, just like you guys. I just worked really hard to get. I want to show them that hard work can pay off in the long run if you just stick with it, no matter how bad it is. It's like 1,000 no's for one good yes.
Yep.
And a lot of people, they don't know like the backstory of anybody's origins. That's why these things are good to talk about, because everybody thinks like, oh, you just had it good that whole time. Like, no, there was it's the starving actor effect.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know what it took that actor to get into this big movie role. A lot of them are 10, 20 plus years, since they were kids.
And a lot, I mean, there's a lot of them were like doing dead end jobs before they even got picked up. I mean, what was oh my gosh, this is so bad to say. Han Solo,
Harrison Ford.
He was
He was
he's a carpenter.
Maker, yeah, carpenter on the set, and they just had him sit in. It was just dumb luck that he got onto the role.
That was for Star Wars.
He was a starving actor to get into that. Like, there's so many of those stories where you're exactly right. Like, they were a waitress for 15 years before they even got a serious role, and it changed their life. But
I was always raised to be a workhorse. That's one of the things I love about my father. Rest his soul. He taught me to just, don't let anybody put you down. Like, always work hard, but always be good to one another, and treat people with respect. Even if they're disrespectful to you, kill them with kindness.
You seem to do that very well, and it seems to be ingrained in you. And I really, I mean, your father definitely was proud of you. I can tell. So you now have moved on to this new chapter where it's striving to be a healthy, positive, and contributor to the skateboarding community through YouTube. And where's the goal? What's the goal for the channel, and how can we see the growth for 2021?
Just, hopefully they tell two friends,
Yep.
And just trying to show more of a normal personality of like something that's not really necessarily so scripted. But even when people meet me in person, like, I'm no different than the person you're talking to right now. Like, just via conversation. It's just to show people that, I was always put on this like, not pedestal, but just they would always like have expectations of me to do something all the time. And I just wanted to show them that you can do anything in your own time and not stress yourself out like I did. Like, don't do what I did then. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's fun stories to tell, and I would never change anything, because that's like wouldn't make me what I am today. And I mean, don't beat yourself up so much either. Like, certain things that we're gonna get into in life are gonna be hard. Like, it was hard for me to get back into doing this whole social media thing again.
Yeah.
But I realized I owe it to the fans, and like I said, treat people how you would want to be treated. Just be nice.
And so what content can we look forward to? Will we get to, be a little bit more of just like not just skating? Is it going to be showing us your other interests, maybe some more music, things like that on the channel?
Possibly. I mean, right now, sky's the limit. I haven't really, like, it's like one of those things I don't know what I'm sitting on yet. So I don't want to just like stamp it. But I mean, I did a day in the life. That video did pretty well.
Yeah, it did.
And they don't like the shorts. I'll tell you that much. That's one thing they don't like. And like, they like the voiceovers of me doing trick challenges. because Braille had the whole platform. You had to wear a mic.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I filmed the video and I basically just do a voiceover and talk about the process of what was going through my head at that moment. And, typical intros, outros. Definitely would love to show more day in the life stuff. But my life is pretty much boring if I'm not skating right now. I'm just taking the time to recuperate,
Yeah, but I feel like those are things that people love to see. They love to be involved in and get to know someone through the lens, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, probably playing music, probably doing my own background music in some of these videos. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've been working with TikTok a lot more lately too. So it's another platform I've been kind of getting into. And but right now, to answer, dude, like sky's the limit right now,
And you're working on your 10th video part too, right?
Yeah, that I'm doing little by little. Like, I'm just kind of focused more on YouTube for the time being,
Yeah.
Because video parts, they take about a year to 2 to film anyways, especially if you're working with as many as I am right now. Like I have to do all the social media stuff and all that good. Yeah. What's that noise?
It might have been an email.
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Work computer.
So when you're talking about your 10th video part, one question, I have 2 questions about being a pro skater. And video parts, they tend to have a very, very important song in them, something to that person. So how important is choosing the song, and do you choose it before you start to hard edit, or what's that like?
Man, it has to flow right, like it's basically like going to the studio. You're not going to put the song out until everything's done properly, all the sound corrections, like the singers, the harmonizing, like everything has to like blend in just perfectly. And I think editing is probably the hardest part of doing social media. I mean, for me personally, like I don't mind doing it. It's just I can film the video faster than I can edit it. So like I'm hoping to be able to make money to hire somebody to do that for me who's definitely more experienced. But yeah, it's choosing a song it's just as important as landing the trick properly. Just as important on the timeline where you place, the clip as opposed to the beat. All of that stuff matters. It's basically just filming a movie. Like when you vlog, you could kind of be a little bit more lenient with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. When you're filming a video part, it's like, I mean, I even tell people because of like, oh, I didn't get that right. And I'm never even mad about it because I understand the concept that you have to be willing to do it more than once. No matter what trick it is, or if they got the wrong angle, you have to, every trick that you do, be aware to do it more, but it's the actor thing, they're not going to put the movie out until the dialogue said just right. Or the angles are just right. So,
and they have to get multiple. Every take is from multiple angles and multiple styles, and it's not the first time's never the one they get.
But depending on the trick, though, like if the trick's really hard, and like it's only one take. If you land it, you have to make sure everybody's like. You have to like stop what you're doing, go walk up, check the clip, say you jumped one and it didn't look, you don't think it did look good. So you just go check it out and like, okay, why don't you get a little bit more right here? Start filming about up there. Don't stop filming until I'm down here. Okay. And do like a little zoom in. So we have a lot of those meetings, like when it comes to like, depending on the trick though, if it's just like a kickflip down a 3-stair, I mean, we could do that. I don't know, like how many times you want, but say I'm going to nollie flip like a 13-stair. I don't want to have to keep trying to do that. So let's get it to where we can just get it one shot. It's like the explosion films and movies, like
get them.
You only get one shot, dude.
Yeah, don't hit the button too early here. So
kind of reminds me of Tropic Thunder.
Very much, man. That was a great movie. I love that movie so much.
Classic.
So you've skated with some amazing people like Tony Hawk, but one person you haven't gotten to skate with, and we talked about this when we were on the phone the other day, and then we talked about it earlier in the podcast. And today when I was watching your video, like some footage on your YouTube channel, I see a lot of Rodney Mullen in your skating, and I see it in a unique way. Obviously, you could do like the style tricks that he does, right? But I think
Yeah,
that you have your own individual creativity, and you break yourself outside of the normal skating. And so the goal is to skate with him, right? You'd love to have a day with him. Is that a
yeah.
dream?
That's definitely a dream, but I mean, even if it's just to walk up to him, shake his hand, and just say thank you for everything,
Yeah.
to not bother him, because I know he doesn't like to really socialize like that. But just to be able to shake his hand and just say thank you, I'd be, bucket list
Just pay
check.
respect.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think that'd be awesome. And I'd love to see, I mean, I'd love that for you. It'd be so cool to just to he's a great hero in the industry. And so I think that's the questions that I have. JP, do you have anything else before we ask like 2 or 3 subscriber questions?
No, let's dive into it. So we got.
And then so we have 2 or 3 subscriber questions. Then we have one. There's actually more than 2 or 3. There's about 60, but I'm only gonna ask 2 or 3.
Yeah, I got you.
and then JP, you can send us off with the last 2 items. So
yeah,
let me pull this up. I'm not very good with Instagram. So
pronouncing the names.
I'm terrible at pronouncing.
That's exactly it.
So definitely. And before I want to preface this with 2 things. If I say your name wrong, I apologize. I'm not doing this on purpose. And there are plenty of videos out there that highlight other things that you've gone, leaving and joining Braille, and the whole story and saga there. If you want that content, it's already been covered, and that's kind of what we won't be covering here. So
yeah, actually, I told you guys a lot that I haven't really got to say in any of those other videos. I'm pretty good about. I mean, like I said, I don't like to watch my footage, but if I have to watch for dialogue, yeah, I'll make sure not to repeat myself or tell like a little bit of a twist to that story.
No, I think that there's a lot on today's podcast that you opened up who you are very, very well. And it was awesome getting to know you. And I look forward to being able to catch up in person one day when we can.
Oh yeah, people, don't judge me, okay? I'm just kidding.
So I think this one question from Aiden Hawkins 01. We talked a little bit about this before we started, and I think it's important because you've had some injuries in the past, in the recent past. But how do you recover from all your slams? What's the process behind that?
Oof. Well, at this day and age, like the fact that I was hurt that much back then, like just recently, and just getting over, like understanding I was taking it for granted, you kind of learn to just stretch. If you're hurting that bad, don't overdo it. Just take a day or 2 off, watch some skate videos, learn how to chill. Skating when you're a kid is very addicting in so many ways where you'll skate even though you're sore. At my older years, I learned to not do that and only skate if my body's up to par. And I try not to, I mean, I think every skater is different, but try not to skate off a checkpoint, like always start off with like an ollie, roll down the ramps, make sure your legs are like good enough to do whatever you want to have filmed, and just fill it out, just don't over exaggerate your body. And I know that just from personal experience.
It's more so about injury prevention at this point than it is about, I hurt myself, I'm just going to continue to go.
Well, when I'm filming, I mean, I've already slammed, so I have so much adrenaline pumping. That day I'll push it, but like right now I'm taking the next 3 days off just because I skated for the last 5.
Yeah. And
my legs are starting to feel it, so I'm gonna take some time to recuperate.
That's smart.
So pick your battles right.
Yep.
So Antonk 0.023. How did you get so consistent in every trick? I think we've kind of covered this, but I think it would be interesting to hear the answer.
I think it's anything you do over and over again. You do it until it feels right. That's when you stamp it, and you just keep doing that over and over again, and it just becomes muscle memory.
Yeah.
I try not to use my eyes too much other than guidance, because when I'm doing a trick, like even when I'm jumping a 10-stair, say to kickflip it, I'm not even worried about the 10-stair anymore. I'm just worried about the amount of speed I'm going and like the most perfect flat ground kickflip. So a lot of these tricks you see that I do are consistent. It's because I skated a lot of flat ground, and freestyle, if you guys understand, is a very consistent thing to do because it's more artist like, kind of like playing a song. It's more you have to do everything the same time every single time, otherwise it sounds like, you know, not that good. It's the same when you do a trick. You just do it over and over again, and as long as you're not on the ground, even if it's sketchy, that's still good enough for me. Because I always say work on your consistency first, worry about your style later, you know, because if you get it down to the muscle memory, eventually you just start relaxing your arms and it starts becoming a second nature kind of thing. But it's just practicing and being repetitive over and over again in the same movement. Once I got it right, it was just nothing, you know.
And I think you talked about it earlier too, where like maybe don't try it off a 10 stair first try, you know. You started in the grass and you got consistent there, and then you take it somewhere else. So start the comfortable level in a safe environment before you move to.
Yeah, you put it on the grass, fill it out, and then you might want to put it on a crack on the sidewalk, so you're at a complete standstill, and then you know, take it off a curb, then a 2 stair, and then a 3, and then usually we skip the 4 for some reason. That's what I did. I never really skated 4 stairs. It was like straight to a 5, and then at Reed, I was like 12. This is where we started hooking. It was this 10 stair. So if you want to respect, you know, that was where you go to. But we knew not to go straight for it. We were all off the little part of the pyramid. It's about a little bit more than less than half the size. And then from there, we're just like, okay, just go faster and pop the same ollie. You know, we'd all figure it out based off that, you know?
Yeah. Let's just go from a 5 to a 10 stair, because that's the progression, right?
Well, that's where if you know what you're doing, that's where the real fun begins, you know. Like going fast is like super fun. I like to just pump sometimes. Like you said, you asked me that earlier. Do I like to go fast? Yeah. I like to carve, like to do airs to fagies. Flat ground, the flip tricks are like the hardest for me these days. But you know, it's because I don't practice them as much as I used to.
Yeah. And so the last question I'll ask is from Isaac Skate. It's Isaac's Skate. Sorry. Have you ever thought about quitting skateboarding? Was there ever a point where it was the relationship between you and skating would end?
I mean, I think everybody does eventually. You come to that crossroads, you know, you might have like a full-time job, or, you know, you realize you're like, after Braille, I didn't consider it quitting, but like slowing down on the whole social media platforms, because I couldn't really have the energy or strength to like get a video done anymore. So there was a question where I was kind of, man, maybe this is not for me anymore. And I don't know, like subconsciously it's, you know, like, Carlos, slap yourself, man. It's the dumbest thing you said all day. So I just, all right, well, I guess I got to start from scratch again. So in life, I can take checkpoints, you know. So when I moved to Utah, I ended up getting back to like why I got into skateboard. I got enough time to meditate it out, like on why I love it, why I still can't quit. Like, and then little by little, I got back into it. Now it's like back to being full time, and unless I'm hurt, then I'll just take a few days off. But I try to be more consistent on my social media platforms to post more, and like I said, try to do live streams so I can do fan interaction and just tell people, hey guys, I'm still here. Like, I'm good. You know, don't worry about it. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody has that thing in their life where, man, maybe this is not for me anymore, but it was a brief questioning on my end. And I was just, the answer was like a no brainer. I'm probably going to skate till I can't do it like at all anymore. So sky's the limit right now.
Well, you can always, you know, you might not be able to jump a 10 stair, but you can always like kind of skate around a bowl or a snake run, or kind of just cruise around and get
that's what I've been doing lately.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing a lot lately. Cause you know, I'm just getting over a knee injury, and my back just healed up like about a month ago. So now my knee's like getting back to par, and it's only because I just skate that way. I just skate little things. If I have to film, I'll jump something, cause I'll make sure the trick is done like in my head first, and I'll test it out on something small. And then I already know the muscle memory from skating big stuff anyways. So when I go for it, sometimes I won't even ollie it. I'll just go straight for the trick. But it works.
Crazy.
To each their own, dude.
But yeah, and you have like, I don't know, what, 15 plus years of skateboarding under your belt. 20 plus years.
22 years I've been skating.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that's the questions I'm going to ask, and that's where we'll leave it there. JP has 2 questions for you to roll it out. Well, one a statement and one a question. So let's start with the question.
Okay.
Well, I guess the statement is the way we end these things is what we're gonna do is, just to tee it up, is we're gonna both crack open a beverage. Mine in this case will be a seltzer. I believe Mike has one as well. Got a water. Well, no, but this is for you. So we're gonna crack open the seltzer, and once we start drinking, we're gonna chug, and while we're chugging, you let us know, where's your social media, maybe your YouTube, your TikTok. Tell us a little bit about what you got coming up and what we can expect out of the channel here in the future. And we'll get started.
All right, go
ready,
for
Mike?
it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Right. Well, thanks to Mike and JP for having me. You can follow me on my social media platforms: Instagram, @CarlosLastra_31. TikTok, same one, _31. And on YouTube, Carlos Lastra. And what I have planned is I'm going to be trying to make a promise to entertain you guys as much as I did when I was at Braille, through NKA, via my whole life when you skate with me in person. If you ever see me in person, don't be afraid to say hello, ask for a photo or any of that stuff, man. I have nothing but mad love, and just thank you guys for all the love and support. Cheers.
Perfect timing.
Way to send it out.
Perfect timing.
I appreciate the time here today.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys. Appreciate having me.
This is super fun. I got to see, from one side to the other, I got to see a totally different person who you are and really understand the journey that got you to where you are. And I think it's just the beginning, and I can't wait to see what the next chapter is.
Oh, yeah. And leave it off this. Yes, guys, I'm a lot shorter in person than you think.
Well, hey,
awesome. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, man. Well, much love, guys. Thank you so much. And stay in touch, man.
Yeah, we will.
Absolutely.
Have a great day. Thanks so much.
Bye, guys. Myself.
Yeah.
Peace.